So I just feel like that's a part of life. I feel like everybody should implement that in their life some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Because movement is just good for you.
Born crazy, late 80s, and I'm still insane. From the streets, if you listen closely, you can hear the train. Dope head shivering, back and forth, no tennis, never trust a soul, they swindling. Do remind them, they Punta Cana, strictly my linen fit. Baby, deuce to your wisdoms, I'm on some dinner shit.
Before the charts, the fame, and the face tattoos became iconic, there was a side of Dave East the world never saw. A side buried under addiction, loss, and silence. In this raw and unfiltered confession, he doesn't just tell his story, he exposes it. From the death of the friend who believed in him more than anyone else, to the $800 a day drug habit that nearly cost him fatherhood. This isn't the version of East the industry promotes. This is the version that survived. So it all started with one voice that changed everything. Long before the money, the tours, or the Range Rover, Dave East had a friend named Freaky who saw the star in him before anyone else did. He wasn't a label exec or a hype man, just someone who believed, pushed, and stood by him. Freaky didn't need stats or metrics to see East's potential. He looked at him and said he had what it took. He told him to stop wasting time chasing basketball dreams and start rapping for real.
He's got 11 now.
According to East, Freaky used to say he dressed better, carried himself better, and had more presence than most of the artists already in the spotlight. That push would become the foundation for everything East would later build. But the tragedy is, Freaky never got to see it. In June 2014, just 2 months before East signed his first major deal, Freaky was killed. The timing was devastating. He died right before East's life was about to change forever.
Like, my best friend died, the pandemic hit. It was like mad other shit that happened.
Even now, over a decade later, Dave East still carries that loss. He mentions Freaky's name in his music, not for nostalgia, but for purpose. 2 months after Freaky's death, in August 2014, Dave East signed with Nas's label, Mass Appeal. The moment the deal came through, Wino, known to the public as Wayne O, called East and told him to check his account. That phone call marked a permanent shift. East got up, took a shower, and went out to buy his first big purchase, a white Range Rover.
I bought a Rover with my first check, and I ain't even went to work yet. Catch her out and leave his shirt wet. How New York sound, yeah, I heard flex.
But that day was more than a material win. It was the start of a different life. One with deadlines, cameras, flights, expectations, and pressure. But success didn't come on clean footing. Just a short time before that deal, East was showing up to freestyle videos and meetings wearing borrowed jackets and hats. Gutta Gutta had been one of the people who looked out for him, giving him gear just so he could look sharp when opportunity knocked. And as we know, with new fame came new habits. East started using lean, not casually, not occasionally, but with full dependence.
I was heavy on the lean. I was heavy on the perks. I was drugged up, you know what I mean? Like, I was on that hard, you know what I mean? Rest in peace, Sad Boy.
He admits to spending $700 to $800 a day on the opioid-laced syrup. He wasn't exaggerating. That number came straight from him. He'd drive out to Queens just to stock up. It wasn't about relaxing or catching a vibe. This was chemical slavery. The drugs controlled his schedule, his energy, and his decision-making. And he didn't glamorize it. He stripped it bare and said it outright. I was a dope fiend.
Yeah. Waking up cold sweats and shit. That shit ain't it, bro. You know what I mean? And that shit is really liquid dope. So all the niggas that you looked at and laughed at as dope fiends on the block, that was shooting dope, that was, you know what I mean? Them niggas, that's the new niggas now. They just fresh. They got jewelry.
That's just
They
sad.
got Louis Vuitton, they got Louis.
He called lean what it really is, liquid heroin. And chemically, he wasn't wrong. The difference between lean and heroin is a couple molecules, not a moral gap. One looks like addiction. The other gets poured into a Sprite bottle with a Jolly Rancher. But they both kill. They both numb. And they both come for everything: focus, health, and relationships. East's truth doesn't come with metaphors. It comes with receipts.
You know what I mean? But I had my little time where I was on that shit hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, what brought that about? I thought it was cool.
The drugs didn't just affect his body. They distorted his world. One of the clearest casualties of that distortion was his relationship with Wino, the same man who had called him when the deal came through, the same person who had taken him to the Bronx to take his shahada, started fading from his day-to-day. Not because they argued, not because of betrayal, but because East was fading first. He started falling asleep during meetings. Wino would try to talk business, and East wouldn't even be mentally present. The lean and the pills had drawn a curtain between him and everyone who actually cared.
To the Bronx, to a masjid in the Bronx, and I took my shahada with Wayno. So I could never feel away with Wayno. That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? If we speak, if we don't speak, business make this shit weird. It do.
It wasn't a viral moment or tragic overdose that forced Dave to face himself. It was a morning in his own home, in the silence between four walls, with his newborn daughter crying in the background. His partner had left for work, and she had asked him to watch the baby while she was gone. It should have been simple, but East wasn't sober. He had been high the night before, and by the time the sun came up, he was still in a fog. The baby needed him, but he was useless. He was sweating, dizzy, and detached. He was trying to hold her, rock her, keep her calm, but he wasn't really there. His mind was still under the control of the lean and pills. In that moment, with the baby crying in his arms, something clicked. This wasn't just about his own suffering anymore. He had brought a life into the world, and now he couldn't even stay awake long enough to feed her or keep her safe.
I used to fucking wake up sweating, bro. Like when my first daughter was born, Kyrie, that's when he flacked. Cause she be in the bed with me as a newborn. I wake up, the whole bed be soaking wet. Like on some fiend shit off the lean.
That was the moment everything changed. Not because someone threatened him or the law came knocking, but because he saw who he had become, a father who couldn't function, a man who was physically present, but mentally gone. He knew right then that this wasn't just a dangerous habit, this was a threat to his child, and that realization hurt more than any withdrawal symptom ever could. From that moment forward, Dave East began to rebuild himself, not with a dramatic announcement or a public Instagram post, but with quiet, consistent discipline. He started going to the gym 5 days a week. He returned to prayer. He put the drugs down and kept them down. He didn't talk about sobriety like it was a trend. He treated it like survival, because that's what it was. By 2025, he says he felt reset, but looking back also meant confronting the things he once celebrated. During his rise, East had access to women he once idolized, women from the covers of magazines, women who were once just dreams on a screen. And when he got there, he didn't hesitate. He pursued them, he bragged about them, he slept with them. But over time, that thrill turned to regret.
God bless. I know that at the beginning of your career, you kind of like, shared on social media. Do you regret ever like putting kind of like your personal life on social media?
1,000%, because you can't, it's there.
You can't dial it back.
It's there. Even if you move on from it or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and that 9 times out of 10, that happens with life.
He says now, without hesitation, that he felt like a clown. He would walk into rooms and realize those same women had been passed around by everyone else. What once felt like an achievement started to feel embarrassing. It had only got worse when he thought about his daughter, the headlines, the photos, the tabloid drama. He didn't want any of that to be used against him, especially not by someone standing next to a child years down the line. That was the moment he changed direction. No more chasing women with public names and private scandals. No more treating intimacy like networking. For East, it wasn't about shaming anyone. It was about protecting his peace. He said clearly he could never commit to someone who was too public, because peace of mind matters more than popularity, especially when the cameras are rolling, and the internet never forgets. So naturally, people started asking, if Dave East has been with the same woman for 10 years, if he's raised her son since the boy was 3, if they have 3 kids together.
If you've had multiple relationships, some kids live with one mom, another kid lives with another mom.
They all same mom.
Oh, they're all with the same mother. Oh, that's beautiful. God bless. That makes me so happy.
Don't need them problems.
Why aren't they married? His answer is just as straightforward as everything else. He once asked his father, who'd been married to his mother for over 40 years, what does a man actually get out of marriage? And the answer didn't convince him. He's not against marriage, he's just not in a rush. He believes the ceremony, the ring, the flowers, and the reception are mostly for the woman and her family. For him, the bond is already built. The loyalty has been proven. The children are being raised. The house is running. He doesn't need a piece of paper to make that real. If his partner wants a ceremony, he's up to it. But for now, he doesn't see the absence of a wedding as the absence of commitment. He sees it all as practicality, and he's comfortable with that. Commitment, for Dave East, isn't about performance. It's about action. He said he's only had 2 or 3 serious relationships in his life, and when he locks in, it's with full intent. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't play games. He doesn't need applause to validate how he loves. He simply does it.
It makes me so happy to know that all your children are with. Is that your day one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? High school?
No.
Oh, okay. No. He's like, not that early on in the game.
That's bad early.
And just like that, Dave East proves you don't need a spotlight to tell the truth. You just need the guts to say it. If this hits you differently, drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know what part stood out the most.